Story reads, the mayor of Kumasi, Richard Ofori-Agyemang-Boadi, has defended his controversial remarks about using corporal punishment against traders who flout the city's pavement trading ban. The mayor had earlier announced a 2-week decongestion exercise beginning Wednesday, April 16, well, that's today, targeting traders operating on pavements and in unauthorized spaces within Kumasi Central Business District. Now, speaking on Eyewitness News on City FM with Umaru Sanda Amadu, Mayor Boadi justified his threat to flog defiant traders, describing it as a necessary step to restore order and enforce discipline. Quote, "I don't believe in using the police for decongestion because I will spend so much on them. And after that, we'll get back to the status quo," end quote, he said. Those on the middle of the road, some of them are cooking, selling all manner of food. It's not attractive. I want to deal with it head on. That's Mayor Boadi speaking there, aka Kinzuba. And he says he will flog the traders who defy orders to vacate the unauthorized spaces and in the median of the road and all that. Elvis, how is this new? Have we seen this before? Has it worked? Will this work? And I don't know if there's any law that backs this.
Good morning to all our viewers. I don't know how he arrived at that decision. I don't know whether the appointing authority has heard what he has said, and whether the appointing authority, having realized the implications of what the man has said, we want to keep him there or not. See, what he has said has happened before, but not under a democratic regime.
Yeah.
In many of the advanced countries that today we see as what they are, strict enforcement of rules made people to conform. And today we go there and say, ah, these people is like the law works. It is strict enforcement. In Ghana, as long as we are under a democratic regime, the law is clear as to what one can do and what one cannot do. And in a democratic system, you can only accuse somebody of committing an offense if that is spelled out in law that this is an offense and this is the punishment. And when it is spelled out in law and somebody breaches that law, you apply the law. You don't do what you think should be the best thing to do. So I'm very sure that selling on pavements and all those things, the bylaws of the assembly will definitely forbid such acts. However, enforcement of the bylaws is not the prerogative of the MCE, it's the prerogative of the law enforcement agencies. For him to even make the comment that he doesn't believe in using the police,
Exactly, yeah.
meant that he has a mentality of jungle justice.
He calls it military-style democracy.
And no, there's nothing called military-style democracy. That's what I'm saying. That's why I said that, I don't know whether the appointed authority has heard what the gentleman has said. Because there's nothing called military-style democracy. See, democracy is the rule of law. But in our part of the world, yes, people think that democracy means that they can do what they like. That is how we misinterpret democracy to mean. Because they say in the local language,
Yeah.
so people think that they are free to do whatever they like in a democracy. But democracy is rather about strict enforcement of laws. And for laws to be enforced, the state has put in place specific institutions mandated to do that. He can still achieve that aim of getting rid of the people from the pavement if he's committed to it and want to use the rule of law. He can still achieve it. It is easy. All he needs to do is to speak to the Chief Justice and says, I think that this thing requires some speed, and therefore I want maybe a court that is dedicated to trying these people as quickly as possible. I'm sure he's making all this noise because he might be frustrated from the slow process of justice delivery in the system. And therefore, if that's the case, Just tell the chief judge that I want one court in Kumasi that is mainly meant to try these people. So when the police arrest them, quickly, prosecution is done. If it is fine, they are fine. If they have to go to jail, they go to jail. Then you are using the law to achieve the same objective. But for him to say he doesn't believe in using the police because it come at a cost, and at the end of the day, people will be back there, I think that he has a wrong understanding of democracy. I believe that somebody needs to explain to him what the rule of law means. Someone needs to let him understand that until the laws of Ghana are changed, and then we put it there that assemblies have the power to actually whip people, he does not have the power to do that. Because what he intends to do is assault. You cannot assault people simply because you feel that they breached the law. You assaulting them is also a breach of the law. So you'll be committing the same crime that you are accusing the traders of committing. And yours will even be a more grievous offense compared to what the traders will be committing. And therefore, I think that a smart mayor should not even be talking like that. First of all, has he looked at Kumasi and looked at the fiscal planning of the central business district? Has he been able to put together a team to say, look, people want to sell. We realize that this is the situation in our metropolis. Is there anything we can do in terms of fiscal planning that will be able to create some room for people still to sell, but not creating the kind of nuisance we are saying? I think that he should rather focus on fiscal planning and try to find innovative ways of getting this done than rather resorting to what I call jungle justice. In a democracy, there can never be room for any jungle justice. People will say, oh, Sally Fomankwa has done it, this person has done it. Those era, they are past. Those happened under military regimes. In military regimes, you can do that because there's no law that is being enforced. It is the directive of the military authority that becomes law. So if it's under military regime, you say, look, I think nobody can sell on the street. If you do, you should be shipped. And that is the directive, that's the decree by the military regime. There's a decree that is being enforced. But as long as we have a constitution, we live in a democracy, and the democracy spells out what one can do and what one cannot do. And the democracy has also ensured that if people breach the laws, while the punishment that should be meted out to them have all been spelled out, I think that the mayor needs to actually recant, and the appointed authority that has appointed him to be there should also be reconsidering their decision. Because whatever that he's saying has implication for the the one who appointed him.
He represents him at that level, actually.
Exactly. And the NDC as a party itself should also be looking at the fact that this thing that this guy wants to do has some implications for our next chances at the polls. And so I think that they have to look at things critically. I was in Berlin, and what I realized was that the city authority actually by law made it clear, sure, that every building that is by a roadside, the ground floor is a shop. The ground floor for every building by the roadside is a shop. So there are hundreds and thousands of shops along any major road that is in Berlin. So when you need a place to do your business, they just ask you, these are the available spaces in the area you want. Which one do you want? You sign, they open it for you.
Very well.
So in terms of planning, if you think that we have a situation, the question is it possible to use planning as a strategy to address it? Would you want to say that, okay, in areas where people are yet even to build, between the road and any building, there should be this space. And this, under that space, we want to look at some innovation. I have seen videos and pictures of under bridges of roads where you have overpasses and all these things in Morocco, where the city authority has transformed those under spaces into a whole market, because they realize that people will go to those places to go enjoy both the trade and the rest, and they'll be able to design the place in a such that when you go in the tunnel and you go and every underbridge, you will see a very nice place where people are selling and it's not nuisance. And so I believe that if we failed, if the state has failed to make sure that fiscal planning is done properly so that all these nuisances do not take place, and then people now realize that, look, I want to do business, but the state has failed. They've not actually made any meaningful provision that will make it possible for me to trade here or here, and for which people are there. It rather calls for fiscal planning. It rather calls for action from the authority, because the authority is the one that determines whether you can even put a block here and put up a building or not.
True.
Yes, whatever situation we have now had happened before his tenure. But if it's coming in and wants to solve a problem, I think it should resort to deep thinking rather than this Machiavellian tactics that he wants to implement.